Okay. In the servlet technology, in last class we see how to create a simple web application by implementing servlet interface. Servlet interface has 5 methods: init, service, destroy, get servlet config, get servlet info. In these 5 methods, we have some lifecycle methods. What are lifecycle methods? What is the meaning of lifecycle? We already seen in the thread class. What is thread lifecycle? You remember what is thread lifecycle? So for every Java object has some lifecycle. Not only Java object, anything in the world. Every human has some lifecycle. Like that, thread has lifecycle and the servlet object has lifecycle. So in that mainly 3 methods. Init method is in the part of lifecycle method. Second one is service. Third one is destroy. Okay. So init method will be executed. It will be called maybe servlet container create servlet object. Did properly, servlet container create servlet object, but not programmer. Okay. Then immediately it will call init method to perform some initialization. What is initialization? Basically, where to do initialization in the Java code? What is the part block will be executed for initialization purpose? Okay, in Java class we have constructor right to provide some runtime values. Okay, we can pass our runtime values through the constructor whenever we're creating object. Here in the case of servlet, in the servlet class object will be created by the servlet container. So that means whenever object created by servlet container, we don't have control to provide a runtime values, dynamic values. For that, servlet container provides some method, init method. It is a lifecycle method. Through with that, we can initialize our variables. Okay, I will show one examples also. Next one is service method. Once servlet container initialize servlet object, it will call the service method. Maybe it servlet object. The object is ready for the use. Ready for use by user. How to use user? User can send a request from client. Client means anything, maybe browser example for now. That request will call service method. Okay, for every request, service method will be called. Okay, up to here fine. Last one is destroy method. So what is destroy method? Once a container fills, servlet container fills, once servlet container decide the servlet object not required, then it will immediately destroy, delete object. Just before delete, it will call destroy method. So what are this all these methods, servlet lifecycle methods? I will explain now. Just for example, yesterday I told I created servlet object, and I did one simple example. So in the server side, we write a code. That code is deployed in one server that is called Tomcat server. Okay, in the server, our application is working. Okay, our application is working. Fine. So here I created one servlet. Servlet class name is EMP servlet. Okay, EMP servlet object is created here. So in the EMP servlet object, every servlet has some lifecycle methods. Lifecycle method means first one is init method, second one is service method, it is a destroy method, third one. So in that we have three lifecycle methods. Mainly, which method will be executed what? Okay, whenever we call that request from the browser. Okay, we call the request from browser. Which method will be executed? Which method will give the response? So first, whenever we deploy the service, okay, whenever we deploy application to server, it will create employee servlet object. Okay, it will create employee servlet object. Immediately creating employee servlet object. Example, object created is maybe memory, heap memory. Okay, employee servlet first immediately call. After creating object, it will call service init method. Immediately after creating object, it will call init method. Who will create object? Who will create servlet container? There is one component called servlet container for every server. The servlet container will be create the object for employee servlet. Not only for employee servlet, every servlet. Then after creation of object, first it will call init method. What is init method? Maybe this class has some instance variables. Those variables how to initialize the dynamic values. For the purpose only, it will call init method. Okay, init means initialization purpose. Next one is for every request from the browser, any person didn't hit for this servlet, it will call service method. Okay, it will give response. Again, any other person from the browser calling that application, it will go servlet, it will give service method, then it will give response. That means how many times the user hitting the request, that many times service method will be responsible to give the response. That means service method will be executed. Okay. Third one is destroy method. Destroy method will be executed when there are some few cases only. When server stop, automatically the Tomcat server will maybe application stop the destroy method. It will call destroy method. Second one is the servlet no longer used. So maybe certain 1 day or 2 days, this object not used, automatically it will call the destroy method and it will destroy the object. No longer used. Third one is undeploy application. We manually undeploy. We have option to undeploy also. Undeploy means come out of the server. Server stopping is different, undeploy is different. Okay, these are some possible cases. This time only it will call the destroy method. Now you are clear. Okay, if you call example welcome, if I call welcome, it means this is welcome servlet. This is welcome servlet. This is a login servlet. Example I'm saying this is login servlet. So that means welcome servlet has separate life cycle. Login servlet has a separate life cycle. This login servlet also same functionality. Init method, service method, destroy method. Okay, for every servlet has same life cycle, separate life cycle. Whenever we call welcome URL, the corresponding welcome servlet will be hit. Whenever we call login URL, the corresponding login servlet will hit. It will give a response. So which method will call which same? That is the main important thing. So init method will be executed whenever the application object created by container. Okay, Servlet, whenever we deploy application, it will create a Servlet object. It will call immediately init method. Service method will call for every request. Whenever we give a request on browser, then only it will go for call the service method. Third one is destroy method. Destroy method will be executed following three. Maybe these are some examples. When the server stops, okay, whenever the corresponding Servlet object not used for longer time, undeploy the application. This like that we have some few cases. Those time only it will call destroy method and it will close the objects. It delete the object from the memory. Define lifecycle methods. Okay, if you see example here in Servlet class, I told 5 methods. Those syntax you can take one by one. This is destroy method syntax, public void destroy. Okay, simple. Next one is get Servlet config. This is syntax. This observe syntax also because whenever we implemented through general Servlet, there are multiple service methods, multiple init methods. This is Servlet info, last one. Init method. Just observe the arguments. For init method, what is the argument? This is Servlet config argument. Okay. Service method, what is the argument? So service method, these are arguments like Servlet request, Servlet response. Throws keyword for the to handle the check the exceptions. For now, I'm removing this. These are the 5 methods in the Servlet interface inside that. Okay. Now someone tell me when these methods will be called. Maybe init method, service method, destroy method. These three are lifecycle methods. When these methods will be called, init method will be called when? Just see and tell me. Class వినట్లేదా? When this life cycle method will be called.
To perform the initialization for the Servlet container, we will call the init method. To perform the request or response from the servlet to the web browser, we can call service request or service response. To destroy, that means if we not to get any object for that servlet container, we will call some destroy method. Right?
Yes, fine. So to understand more on this, I written some SOP statement. This is destroy method. Okay. Like that, I am going to write all the SOPs for every method. This is get Servlet config method. Okay. This is info method. Let's deploy this application and we'll see when this method will be called. Okay, this is init method. This is service method. Let's deploy this application again. How to deploy? First, convert this into var file. How to convert var file?
Application.var file.
Second Servlet, I'm deleting. This also deleting. Yes, first Servlet. They exported into var file. Okay, that var file we can deploy into the server. Okay, first come to here, paste that application here. Where is the first servlet? Copy this. So this is called deployment, hard deployment. We have multiple type deployments. I will cover later. Just remember, deployments means, what is deployment basically? I know many people involved, many people heard about this deployment concept in the companies. What is deployment? Just placing our code into one server. Okay, this is the code, place that code into one server. Okay, and that after that our code will give responsibility to give a response as per our requirement. So we have three types of the deployments. One is hard deployment, soft deployment, tool based deployment. We have three deployments. Right now we are seeing hard deployment. What is hard? Directly we are copy and paste our code into server. Okay, directly our copy or paste our code into server. See here, same thing I'm doing. I pasted here, copy paste. Now go to the server bin location. How to start? Click on the Tomcat. It will start the server. Server is started. Okay. So anything output here up to here?
No.
No output. Just see that first request. First servlet. 1 second. See the first servlet. See, this is the init method. This is service method. Okay, whenever we get a first request, what happened? Service method will be called. First init method called, later service method. So here, what I told here, servlet container will create object. Immediately it will call the init method. This is one case. Another case is, this also I can show. Another case is whenever first request comes, it calls init method. Okay, these are two cases here. Whenever first request comes, call init method, or whenever our our application deployed in server, then we can call an init method. There are two cases. I can show that there is a concept called lazy loading, early loading. Okay, here main thing is init method will call only once, maybe by deploying time or maybe first request. Only one time only. Okay, if just see again, I'm refreshing the page. Up to now we got two outputs, init method, service method. I'm going to refresh the page. Okay, it got output. See what is the output now? Only service method. That means whenever we give a request, only service method will be called. Okay, only for first request, init method will be called. Okay, see that again. Service method. Service method. Okay, see that output here. Whenever we give it request, it will go for the always service method. That means for every request, the corresponding service method will be called. Is clear? Okay, for every request, only service method will be called, but only first time init method will call. Why init method? To initialize some instance variables. For now, our class don't have instance variables. I will show you for next examples. Okay. We'll go for next concept, generic servlet. Okay, it is a class implements servlet interface. Okay, this class implements servlet interface. That means all the abstract methods are there in servlet interface. Okay, all the abstract methods are there in servlet interface. This class will be provided. This class provided implementation. Okay, so main thing is I told in the servlet interface we have 5 methods. If any class extend that interface, what that has to okay. So servlet interface has 5 methods. Up to it is clear. So if our class implements servlet interface, what will happen? What we have to do? So general question, if I implement interface, what I have to do? I have to override all the abstract methods. Otherwise, second option is I can make that my class as a abstract.
Public abstract.
So here thing is this interface implemented by generic servlet. That generic servlet has provided the implementation for the all the methods except service method, because service method we have to override, we have to give the implementation. Okay, that is a only method it is not implemented in the generic servlet. We'll take another class. Okay, in this application we'll take another class. I'm taking this student servlet. Just for example, how to create servlet class? Go to here. At last you can see servlet. If it's not found, click on others. Type servlet. Okay, I'm providing class name is EMP servlet. Maybe EMP already there. So I'm taking student. Okay, for that I'm providing URL. Description not required. I'm providing URL student servlet only. Okay, I can change this slash student servlet. SSS I can provide directly. Okay, I can provide directly any name. This I'm showing part. We have option to edit also. Then next, interface not required. Instead of here, I'll take. Now I'm extending implementing generic servlet. Okay, generic servlet. It is not available. Why? Let me check. Sorry. Extending the class, right? Extending. Okay, see the error. This saying add unimplemented methods. What are those methods? Only one method we have to override. Okay, but in the case of EMP servlet is implementing servlet interface. So that means whatever the methods are there in the servlet interface, we have to override all those methods. But in the student servlet, I am extending with the generic servlet, but not implementing the servlet interface. That means generic servlet already implemented all these methods. Okay, already implemented all these methods. Only one method is not implemented, that is service method. Okay, that service method only we have to override. That is why it is saying only implement this method. Here what I'll do, I'll take same thing. Okay, I'll take same thing here, some dummy response. How to give response back? First we have to create a printed object. First we have to printed object. I'm renaming this variable instead of arg0. I'm giving a meaningful name. request response. Okay, from here I am giving some dummy response for now. Println of. So whatever we write this will go to the browser. Okay, I'm giving h1 generic servlet example. Okay, why h1? What is h1?
Header tag.
Header tag. Okay, now see that I'm deploying this application. Okay, every time what we are doing, I'm introducing one more concept here. So every time what you are doing, we are going to click on the project, exporting into WAR file, again deploy into server, restart the server. These many things we are doing. So these are not required. We directly integrate our Tomcat into our IDE only. How to integrate? We have some options. Run as server. Go to here, type here Tomcat. We install Tomcat 9, right? Select that. Next, where we install that location. If you did not install directly, you can say to IDE, you only download and install. Okay, that is not required because we install already in our local system. C, program files, Apache Foundation, Tomcat 9. Okay, click on next, finish. Just refresh the settings, and now we can start directly the server from the IDE only. Okay, just give time. Meanwhile, we'll discuss some points. So this is generic servlet. Generic servlet has implemented all the methods from the servlet interface except the service method. Service method we have to provide implementation our own. Okay, we have to provide own implementation because the service method will be executed for every request. To return response as per our requirement, we have to override the service method. Okay, fine. Is confusing generic servlet? Confusing? Okay, next point is in the generic servlet, there is one new method. There is a new method, same as init method. The difference is we don't have any argument. It don't have any arguments. Okay, so generic servlet is implemented all the methods from the servlet interface except service method, and also it has a new method, public void init, without any arguments. That means in the generic servlet, how many methods are there totally? Three. Init method with arguments. Okay, init method without arguments. Service method, this abstract, and destroy method it is implemented. The remaining are get servlet info, get servlet config. So these are methods are available in the generic servlet. Why here 6 methods? There is one method, init method without arguments. that is newly implemented in the generic servlet. What is generic servlet? It is a class. It implements the servlet interface. Tomcat 9 because more than one post or email. Wait, we'll see. What is the problem? Click on that. Certain as server. Tomcat 9. Next. Remove this for now. Okay. Finish. Check this out. Server cannot be started because one or more the posts are invalid. Open server editor. Correct the invalid ports. We check that. What is the problem? We'll try to debug this. Here port numbers auto configured 2022 correct. I'll give 2023. We'll see it work or not. Modified. Save. Okay, it is saying some invalid error. I will try to export again, deploy into server manual way only. I will check what is the issue later. So how to export? Export into WAR file, first servlet, location, desktop I'm giving. Okay, replacing this simply. Override. Okay, it is created. Go to the folder location, delete this, copy the file, paste here. Now start the application. How to start? So what is the new servlet introduced? It is a student servlet. What is URL for that? How to check URL? Go to src main web app, XML file. There is one file, web.xml. We configured student servlet with the /student. Okay. Now go to browser. This is a root path. The same. Next, we'll go for student. This is generic servlet example. We got an output. Okay. This is simple example. We got only thing I have to show. When we implement our servlet, we have multiple approaches. Maybe extending with the generic servlet, implementing servlet interface, and we have to override mainly service method. So we are implementing now generic servlet. In that we have only method is there to implement service method. Okay, this is the logic I written only for simple header tag generic servlet. Okay, we'll go for next topic. Then we'll see one big example. So third one is what is third one? It is a HTTP servlet class. Okay, HTTP servlet class extending generic servlet. Okay, now we got relation, right? HTTP servlet. This class extends generic servlet. Okay, there is one method which is abstract in generic servlet. That method it is overridden in the HTTPServlet class. Okay, that method is word as HTTPServlet class. What is the main relation here? It is mainly interface and implementer classes relation. First one is servlet interface. It is a interface. That class implementing by generic servlet. It is a abstract class. What is the reason of the abstract class? In the servlet, we have 5 methods. One is, tell me one by one, what is the method names?
Init method,
Init method, service method, destroy method, get, servlet, info, get, servlet, config. These are the 5 methods in the servlet interface. If our class, this is abstract class, if our class implementing servlet interface, what we have to do? We have to override all the abstract methods. What generic servlet do? Basically, it should implement the all abstract methods. Okay, but this interface, whatever method has, generic servlet implemented only 4 methods. What are 4 methods? Init method is implemented, service method not implemented. Third one is destroy method implemented. Fourth one is get servlet info implemented. Fifth one is get servlet config. It is implemented. Only thing is not implemented. It is a service method. That is why if our class not implementing all the abstract methods from the interface, we have to make that class as an abstract class. Abstract class means it is not a fully implemented method. Okay, this can have the abstract methods and implemented methods. Up to here is clear. Then go for HTTPServlet. HTTPServlet is extending generic servlet. That means what are the pending methods are there in the generic servlet that is implemented. What are the pending methods? It is a service. There is service method. So I told in the generic servlet there is a new method is there implemented. There is a new method implemented, that is init method with the this is new method. That's why I take new color. This is a init method without arguments. This is with arguments. This is without arguments. Okay, this is specific to the generic servlet. If you see HTTPServlet, what are the method pending from the generic servlet that is implemented, and also it has some new methods. There are some new methods. What are those? Again, service method with a different arguments. Here also arguments is there. Here different arguments. Here different argument. What are these arguments? Servlet request, servlet response. But here HTTP servlet request. This type changed. Here HTTP servlet response. But HTTP, this is a HTTP servlet class. That is why here is converted normal request into HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response. And there are some more methods are there. What are those? Do XXX methods. What are do XXX? Do is common. After that, something will change. Those are do XXX methods. So these are totally 7 methods are there. These 7, these 2, total 9 methods are there in the generic servlet methods. Okay, what are do XXX? I will say one by one. Do get, do post, do delete, do patch, do put, do options. Like that, this is 3, 3. There is one more method. I'll check. There are 7 methods are there with the do triple X. That means mainly to understand. Now give me answer. Servlet interface has how many methods totally? Respond, please.
So 5 is for 10.
Here totally 5 methods. Generic servlet, how many methods have?
5 methods.
All the methods in the servlet interface plus one more new method. It is 6 methods. In the HTTP servlet, all the methods from the general servlet 6 plus its own methods, one service method plus 7 do service methods. Totally 7, 14 methods are there. Is confused?
Oh,
Okay, just I'm repeating again. Servlet interface has 5 methods: init, service, destroy, get servlet info, get servlet config. That interface, all are abstract methods. So general servlet is a class. It is implementing the servlet interface. So general servlet has to be implement all the methods. Okay. So general servlet trying to implement all the methods, but one method is not implemented. Due to that, the class make it as abstract. Abstract means this is not completely implemented. Okay. Init method implemented. Service now. This servlet info, get servlet config. All the 5 methods are implemented except this. And there is one method is there, new method in the general servlet. This is specific to general servlet class. That is init method. What is the difference between the first init and last init? It is some arguments is there. One argument is there, that is servlet config, I think. But here no argument. Last one. That is general servlet. Then go for HTTP servlet.
report untara.
So HTTP servlet, what is that? It is a class. It is a class extending generic servlet. That means whatever the generic servlet methods are there, all will come to the HTTP servlet. How many are there? 6 methods plus one new method, service method with different arguments. HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response. So it is one method, new method, and do triple methods are there. 7 methods totally. Do get, do post, do delete, do patch, do put also there. Totally 7 methods are there. 6 plus 1 plus 7. Totally 14 methods are there. Okay. What is the difference between the generic servlet, HTTP servlet? Generic servlet is accepting any protocol. We have different protocols in our generally maybe HTTP, SCP, okay, like that. In the HTTP servlet, it will support only HTTP protocol. HTTP means whatever we are sending from the browser, that is a by default HTTP. Okay. Now we'll see one simple class how to create HTTP servlet class. Okay. How to create HTTP servlet class. I'm taking new servlet, right click on this, go to create new. Here I'm taking new class. The car servlet. Simply I'm giving random name car servlet. For that, what is the URL I'm taking? Car with a small case. Next, here see that how many methods are there. The ID is showing here. Init method, destroy method, get servlet config, get servlet info, service method, do get. Here do how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7 totally. Do get, do post, do put, do delete, options, trace. Do trace I forgot here. Okay. Class is created. Okay. This is I will tell later. Is not required. A car servlet extending HTTP servlet class. Okay. What we have to override? Here no need to override the get method. Sorry, we know to override the service method. Basically, in the servlet interface or generic servlet, we override in a service method, right? But in the HTTP servlet, service method not required. We have some do replace methods: do get, do post, do delete, do patch. Okay, these methods automatically will call from the service method based on the type of the request. If you send a get request, it will call do get method. If you send a post request, it will call post method, like that. So service method already implemented with some logic. We have to implement our logic in the do get method. Okay, I will show why to implement do get, why, when to implement do post. Okay, like that we have multiple methods: do get, do post, do patch, put, delete options, do trace. Okay, in the HTTP servlet, we know to implement service method because the service method already implemented in the HTTP servlet with some logic. If you override that method, you lose that logic from the HTTP servlet class. That is why HTTP servlet told don't implement service method. You can implement do servlet methods according to your requirement based on your request. Okay, that method I will call from the service method. Okay, now we'll see one example here: do get. Okay, here I'll write logic. Here I'll write logic. Same thing. Welcome to. This is request, the response full name. Okay, HTTP servlet. Okay, fine. Now build that code again. Save into your workspace anywhere. Override. Now stop the server. Better. Go to the location. Web apps. Delete this existing code. Okay, copy that code, whatever we exported. This started whenever call first request. How to call our new servlet? URL pattern is car. How to check? Go to the XML file and check for car servlet class. What is the URL pattern? It is a car. Okay, so go to here, give car. It will give a HTTP servlet example. Okay, this is simple code. How to work with three different maybe these interfaces or classes: HTTP servlet, generic servlet, and servlet interface. Is clear? We'll go for next concept. Simple one. Is clear?
Bro, ఒకసారి XML పేజ్ ఓపెన్ చేయండి.
For every servlet class, we are providing the URL pattern here. If you see, all tags are repeated. Servlet mapping.
So,
Servlet for what is the class name?
Servlet mapping URL is common for every servlet class, right?
To find out,
The servlet URL mapping is common for every class, right? So giving a URL name and the pattern name. All of it.
we have mapping common, but URL should be different. Example, for student servlet, student is a URL pattern. For car is a URL pattern. For employee, welcome, /welcome. Okay. Okay. So next concept is what is the servlet config? This we are going to discuss. So if you see init method, there is an argument type servlet config. What is the class or what is interface? It is interface basically. What is servlet config? Okay, so it is interface. Okay, the implementation will be provided by server vendors. What is the meaning of server vendor? We install Tomcat server. That means in this case, Tomcat is responsible to provide implementation for the servlet config. Okay, Tomcat server is responsible to provide implementation for the servlet config. It's already implemented and given. If we see that some code, we directly don't have access. If you go lib folder, all these jar files are implemented this class only. What are these classes? Servlet request, servlet response, okay, servlet config, servlet context, all those things. Okay, why we need this servlet config? Why we need this servlet config? Example, I have one servlet. Okay, whenever I give request, from the browser, it will go to server. So what is my request here? So I have one form. This is a username, this is a password, last is submit. Okay, whenever we give request to server, it will go and take this data, username, password, and check the data with database. So because my database table has username and passwords, check with that this username and password is matched with the database, then return back login successful. Okay, if it is not, then login failed. Okay, in success case, login failed case, login simple. This is my task. That means here what are the thing I have to implement? In the front end side, I need one page with the username, password, submit button, right? Next back end side, I have to write a code, servlet code. That the servlet code should read that whatever I data entered here, maybe change to username, password is Java. Okay, that have read and go to database and get the data. To go to database, what I need? Don't be silent. So want to connect database, what I have to do?
Connection management with the help of driver class.
Okay, driver class I need. Driver class. Next one.
URL, username.
Your IP address mainly, username, database username, database password. These things are required to connect to database. Okay, where
one second. If we connect to the database, it is okay. If you want to create the schema also without creating from database side, here only in the Java end only, you can use database schema name directly.
What does the schema means?
If you want to specify some tables in a single schema.
Repeat your question. If you want, your voice will low.
అంటే బ్రో నేను అనేది ఏంటంటే ఇప్పుడు మన డేటాబేస్ లో మల్టిపుల్ స్కీమాస్ ఉన్నాయి, కానీ నాకు ఒక కొత్త స్కీమా కావాలి అంటే ఒక కొత్త టేబుల్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలి, కొత్త స్కీమాలో క్రియేట్ చేయాలి. ఇక్కడ నుంచి మనకి పాసిబిలిటీస్ ఉంటాయా?
ఉంటుంది. Yes, we can create. Already I told, I discussed in the JDBC how to create a table, how to insert data, how to retrieve data. All these things I told in the JDBC. Same thing we can write here. Here what I am doing in this task, I am going to database and fetching data. That means I am doing the select query. So next page, next example, what I will tell, I will give a registration form, first name, last name, email, password, maybe some gender. Okay, all these things I'll ask from the browser. I'll take this and I'll go to the database through Servlet and I'll save into one table. All these things I'll save into one table. That means here I need one insert query in the servlet side. Like that, we can also create table from the servlet side. You can also drop. So in the next page, what I ask, I'll ask some one student number 101 like that, one the text box, then submit, maybe a delete button. Once you click on delete, I'll go database through servlet. I'll apply one query, delete query, and delete the corresponding entry. Okay, these kind of all things we'll do in the next examples. So maybe today morning I'll cover this basic concept. Afternoon I'll cover example, complete example, if possible. Okay, your question answer is we can do anything from our servlet. We can create table, insert data, delete data, whatever. Okay, so in this case, in my task, I need to validate the username and password from the database. How to do that? For those things I need driver class, username, password, IP address, port number, all the data I need. So these data who will provide? Who will provide? This front-end guy know about database details, what table, what is the port number, password of that database. No, he don't know anything about the database details. You even don't know we are using database or not. Okay, how to do? We can, first option is we can hard to code. We can hard to code in the Java code directly, whatever we did previously. Second thing is we can, if we do the hard to code, what will happen? What will happen? Tomorrow password is changed. Tomorrow database name password change. What we have to do? We have to change the code and redeploy. Okay, we'll see first. We'll see the example simply. We have some page, login page. We'll send the button, submit button, and we'll take it to the servlet and we'll validate with database and return back response, login success or login failed. Okay, here first thing is what? To create a one login page. This is the first one. What is the second one? To write a code in the servlet. What is the third one? We have to create a table in the database with some data. Okay, these three tasks we'll do. Maybe okay, already I have some templates I can show directly. Okay, just try to write those code. Try to write what I'm doing. I'm creating new project. New project, it is a dynamic web project. Are you able to create dynamic web project in our Eclipse IDE or STS? No one tried? Student management. Okay, I just created. Just I'm adding the jar file. What is jar file? First one, I told if you want to work with servlet, we have to add the servlet related jar file. How to add? Click on external jar files. Servlet API jar file. Add this. To connect to database, the driver class we have to add. How to add driver class jar file? MySQL connector. Add this. Okay, here I have JRE Java version 5. I want to change this. How to change? First remove that. Add library or okay, add library. JRE system library. Install JRE. This is Eclipse. Okay, this is not correct. Add this first. Standard VM. Go to just observe this steps what I'm doing to change the Java version in the Eclipse IDE. Where install Java program files. Program files Java somewhere installed. Okay, Java JDK 8. Okay, add this. The adding 1 second. Okay, just finish. So we have a JDK. Click on that. Apply. apply close. Okay, now we have JDK version 8. Okay, so main thing here is MySQL connector, Servlet API. What is the use of MySQL connector jar file? Why we added here? Response group. Why we need to add MySQL connector?
To tell the ID where exactly the actual database connection with the help of the file.
To help the
So finding out the SQL DB from the integrator to connect.
okay, to connect the database from our Java code. On why we need Servlet API? The jar file, Servlet API jar file. Second one.
The same way, so giving the access to servlet page with the help of Java file.
To work with Servlet classes interfaces, we have to add the Servlet API jar files. Okay, we both added, fine. Now our project is, the code is, we have to implement now. What is the first task? I have to write some HTML page. Okay, I have to write one HTML page. Where to write? Click on the servlet, maybe any class, create a servlet class. Package I'm giving login. Class I'm giving login servlet. Okay. URL pattern I'm giving login page. To get login page, I'm calling the login URL. Okay, fine. Next, I'm taking the get, do get method, not do post. Do get is fine. Here I want to return a, here I want to return a login page. Okay, how to return login page? I have one template already, login template, this code. Directly I'm pasting this inside SRC main web app. Okay, just I'm creating one file, HTML file, login.html. This is student login time. So what I'm doing here, asking username, password, and submit button. After submit, where to go here? I'm declaring here form action. What is the form action? After submitting this page, where to go? Okay, it has to go login servlet. What is URL name? I given login. How to see URL name? URL exactly. This is login. It should go to log in. Okay, how to load this page? By default, we have one tag. We have one tag welcome file. Okay, this Eclipse already given some tags. In the welcome file list, we have to provide the corresponding file name. Here I'm giving the login.html. That means by default, when our application start, it will give the description error. 1 second. A minute. It is error. Display name. Instead of index, I'll give the login. So this form will be loaded automatically at starting only. That's why we can call it a welcome. Automatically, whenever application start, it will load this page. After loading this page, what I'm asking, username, password, and submit. That how to take in the servlet. Okay, I told here once the user submitted the request, I have to read the username, password, whatever he submitted. How to read? Just observe the code. To read that, we have one method, request dot. Okay, why request dot? We are giving request. Whatever data is entered here, that data will place in one object, request object. Here username and password will be saved. Okay, those password we have to read in the code. For that, we have to call some methods, get parameter, request dot get parameter. What is the key you have to give? Just see the HTML page. In the HTML page, for every input, I given some name. Okay, here I'm asking username, right? Enter username. Further, what is the name here? Okay, so here I'm taking the username and password in the code. How to read that? Input data from the browser. This is the method, get parameter. Okay, whatever data we are sending, that every data have some key. Okay, username key, that is username. Password will come with some key. This is password. With the key, we can get the value. This is UN. This is the password. This is the user enter details. Okay, user entered details in the in page. Okay, is fine. Next, what we have to here? Validate user credentials with database. This is the main step. Next, second step. So first, what we have to here? First, go to database. How to go to database means DB connection. We have to get, because we want to fetch data from database. We have to do the DB connection. Next, get user data. Next one is compare DB credentials with user credentials, user given credentials. Both are fine. Then return response as success or failure. Okay, this is the main task here. How to get DB connection? Tell me the code. How to get DB connection? Nara, how to get connection to the database? Lokesh?
Hello.
How to get connection from database?
By loading a driver class manager.
How to load driver class? Okay. For now, next step is
giving connection to the database, URL, IP address, username, password.
okay. This is the code and directly copying. I'm not again writing the complete code. This is database. How to get connection? Okay. Class for name to load the class driver. And second one is get the connection. Third one is to get the data from database. Fourth one is to validate the changes. Okay. From database, I need one table, right? How to create table? We create for now manually. How to create table? What is the command?
Create table.
Okay. Create table name. I'm giving user details, table name.
Okay. And
here I want to take columns. What are the column I'll take? Username.
Varchar. User
Password.
Varchar. With these two rows, any other rows needs to be added?
For now, 2 rows are fine.
Then it's query
Is fine. Table created. Now see that first any data is there in the table. Select star from user details.
Spell mistake of select.
User select. Okay. Select. DA spelling mistake. DA TI. Okay, spelling mistake.
Not DA.
Okay, spelling mistake. Okay, this is user table. There is no data. How to insert data? Insert
into
table
name values.
Insert into table name values. I'm giving username simply some name, password, row affected, select data is there. This is not required, still I'm entering for now. Now we'll write code. Now write a code to fetch data from the table name. This is the user details. Okay. To check the data is there in the table. How to check? I am giving username as Chenchu, password as a string. How will check? Just we write one query, simple query. Maybe we can write where condition. Example, select star from user details.
Where?
Okay, where username and password equal to, if I give Java, I'll try with Java. Now here data is there, yes. If I give Spring as a password, no data. How to get empty data like that? We can use count function. That means how many rows match with the count of star. With this username, with this password, there is no rows. There is a count 0. If I give password as a Java, there is a one count. count is 1 means corresponding user is valid. Okay, if I give username and password also different, both are different. I mean username ABC, password is XYZ. That means even this is a written a count 0. Because with these rows, both condition match, there is no data. Username also match and password also match. There is no data. Like that, we can write this query in our code. This query will fire from the code and it will return the response as a just one number, count number. Okay. Here, what is the username? Username is given by user, browser, right? That I have to maintain here. How to maintain? How to give that user name? And password also given by user from the UI. That also dynamic. Password.
We can directly give without doubling with it.
No, double equal to, we have to double equal to, sorry, it is double colon, right?
Yeah.
Double quotes basically for only to append the string. This is for string purpose, not for Java. It's not for database. So here finally the data will be replaced username Chenchu. That is the concept.
Okay.
This double quotes not for database side. Okay, this single quote is for database. Okay, this if you give username Chenchu, the complete thing will be replaced as Chenchu. If you give username as password Java, the complete thing will be replaced as Java. Okay, now data executed. On how to check result set dot next. Next. Okay, that value is I'm assigning to Boolean, not next. Has next. If okay, others dot get string. How to get the value? Other dot get maybe string or integer. I can give value 1. If you give 1 means what is the value here returning? Is a count of star. Okay, otherwise I can give 1. 1 also fine. It will give into value. Now I'll compare. This count value will become to here. This one count is 0 or 1, and I'll compare if count equal to 1 means here login success. Credentials are valid. If count equal to 0 means not 1 means it will be a invalid credentials. Okay, invalid credentials. Here I had good response as a invalid or valid. How to give response? I told with the response object we have to create a print writer object. Response object dot get writer. We call this. This will written as a print writer. Print writer means to send some data response as a to browser. You can use the print writer. Print writer dot println of. I'll write h1 tag. H1 tag. Welcome user. What is username? I'll give here.
We will call directly that user.
Directly we can call yes /h1. Okay, this is welcome to user. If it is failed means invalid credentials. Invalid credentials. Please try again. Okay, this is simple code. I'm deploying this code. Okay, time card is started. I'll stop for better. First, remove the existing application. How to remove? Go to that web app folder. web folder, and go to the Eclipse IDE and export into jar file. Okay, browse. Yeah, I'm giving different name. It is a login app. Location I'm giving desktop. Where to save this file? Okay, it is saved. What it is? Module name is invalid. Which module? Where is the module here? Let's try again. This is not this one. This one. Okay. Export jar file. Okay, student management. Location. Giving desktop. Save. It is saved. Okay. Next, go to that location, desktop location. There is one file, var file created, web archive. Okay. Then go to the folder, deploy here, web apps folder. Deploy means copy paste, hard deployment. Next one is bin, start the server. Bin start the server. It is started. Go to browser. Localhost 2022. What is the project name? Project name is root project name. Okay. Project name is root URL. Click on this. Directly I got one login page. How I got login page directly? Just I given a project name, that is root context path. This we can call it the context path. Okay. If I enter last at login like that, it has to return this page. Directly it came. Why? Because I told whenever I hit my application as a welcome page, this should come as a login.html. That login.html I configured here. This page has to be loaded. What is the student login form? Okay, student login form. So here I'm entering change to password as a Java. We'll see output 404 not found it giving. Why? We'll see that why it is giving 404 not found. We have to debug the error. So it's, if we observe the URL, login page event, login URL. Login URL. 1 second. Why it is event login URL? Login URL. Okay, let me redeploy again. Maybe I think some issue with the slash. I'm not sure. I am checking that issue. Delete the code, existing code. Okay, go to again, redeploy. Export first, AR file, same file, location is desktop. Location desktop, save to overwrite. Again, go to the folder. Go to folder. Okay, web apps folder we have already. Go to here, copy the file. Copy. Paste. Start server. Started. Go to browser. Reload application. Reload it. Okay, name giving some name. Java. Okay. It's a login went, but did not return anything. Why is the reason? I'll check logs. Login solid got. Okay. Catch exception. Any exception? What is the exception here? Okay, we got some exception. See the exception first. Okay, class not found exception. Com MySQL CJ JDBC driver. This driver not there. What is the reason driver not there? Already we added, right? We'll see that Why it is not there? Project, click on that. Build path, configure build path. It is there. Basically, MySQL jar file is there, but still getting error. That means there is something with the exporting. While exporting time, we have to add something. Var file. Okay. Export source files also. Next, view the location. Okay. Finish. Okay, let's try this. This is debugging approach, something not working. Okay, so go to that web apps folder, delete these two files, old code. Okay, come back to bin folder, not bin folder, go to the same web apps only and copy that file. Copy, paste, copy, paste. We'll go to the Tomcat bin folder again, start server. It is started, I think. Please see. Load the page, it's loaded. Enter, again got error. Okay, again got error means there is something issue with that our exporting, not issue with our code. Just to avoid this kind of issues, I will do one thing, the indirect approach. So take that MySQL jar file. Where is the MySQL jar file? Compress MySQL connector. Take this and go to the Tomcat folder. Where is the Tomcat? There is a lib folder. You can place like this. So this is the one approach, indirect approach. If you want to add jar files to class path for the Tomcat. Okay. Now try to load, maybe start server again. Our code changes nothing. Just start. Okay. Again reload the login page. View the data. Login. They give welcome Chenchu. Okay. Now it is working fine. So another scenario is I will give bad credentials. I will giving instead of password, my password, I will giving the ABC as a password. It is invalid credentials. Please try again later. So this understood, right? Simple thing. You can try with your own credentials. Okay. I have one more data here. Example, I want to insert one more user. Here I want to insert Kashi is a username. Password is a JDBC. It is inserted. Okay, now Kashi can log in. Password. Username is select data first. Okay. Password is JDBC. If I enter this, welcome to Kashi. Okay. Is the static page, dynamic page. If I log in a Chenchu, it is giving welcome to Chenchu. But if I log in to Kashi, giving welcome to Kashi. So based on that user login, this is giving the response. This is a simple example for the dynamic web page. Okay. So Kashi giving bad credentials, giving invalid credentials, please try again. Okay, this is simple, one simple application for the student login page. Okay, you can try it later on. I want to discuss about config a bit here. What is the purpose? So today table name configured here, user details. Okay, user details. I am changing the table name at the back end. What I am changing the table name? User details to I'm changing users only USERS. How to modify table name? Any command you remember? What is the command? How to modify the table name? Alter table name is old table name user details. TLS user DAITILS. Okay. Rename to new table name users. This is affected. Now if I try select start from user details, this is invalid. If I try users, this is valid. So what I change here, user details changed, only table name changed. This change is affecting to change the code also, right? Here user details, it is a wrong. Okay, just try
Yes,
hit here. Hit here. I'm giving username password properly. JDBC. Okay, login. They're giving some error. Giving some error. What is the error? So user details table not exist. It is delete. It is modified. How to do correct here? We want to again change the user table name here. That is a problem, right? To our maybe tomorrow the username will change, the password will change, database password will change, database name will change, port number will change. This will be problem, right? To avoid this kind of issues, we can write these things into one external files. Okay, or else we can read from the some HTML file. How to read? That is a concept called servlet config. Okay, that means whatever data we are hard coding, directly we can write that in the servlet config object that is initialized through dynamically. So here what I'm doing here, observe here, init type in param. Init type in param. This is correct only. Init type in param. See now. Let me check how to add init type in param. Init params. Okay. Context param. This is init param, correct only. It is not coming. Servlet tag only. Let's try this init param. Init param. Okay, I'm giving the username here, database username. I'll use DB user. DB user is root. Okay, and one more I'm giving DB password. Root. Okay, driver class I'm giving driver DB driver. See key, this is value simple. Okay, driver class I'm taking. Driver class I'm taking from here directly. Understand? I'm writing everything outside, not in code. Okay, these three are fine for now. Okay, these three I want to read in the code. Okay, these are in XML file. To read in Java file, we need to take externalize. Okay, for that, what we do, we can take some servlet config object. Here, there is one init method, right? Init method. We can take, or else we can call one method to get servlet config. Get servlet config object. Directly we can call it. Let's say servlet config. From the servlet config, okay, whatever data we are returning in the XML file, okay, these init parameters, those will be stored in the servlet config object. Okay, those will be stored servlet config object. To read data from the servlet config object, we have to call some methods. Okay, right now these data init param, DB user, DB password, DB driver, all these things are stored in a servlet config object. Now I'm trying to read from the servlet config. First I need to get a servlet config object. For that purpose only I call servlet config. This servlet config coming from where? This declared where basically?
Generic servlet.
Directly coming from the servlet interface. Get servlet config. Okay, I call this. I got servlet config. From this, I can call. There is one method get int parameter. Provide a key. I'm giving DB user. I have one more thing. DB password. DB driver. These three I'm taking. PWD. Okay, these things I'm taking onto one variable. This is DB user, DB password. This is URL, right? DB URL. Sorry, driver. This is DB password. Up to here, fine, I think. Okay, these things we are doing externalize. Tomorrow it will change also, no problem on that. Okay. Okay, I'll take one more thing, DB table also. DB table. Okay, DB table also I forgot right here. Just copy paste this parameter. Init param. Just observe the tags. Init param, param name, param value. Okay, here DB table. These users. Go to the code. Here, what is the driver class? I'm providing dynamically. Replace this with the DB driver. Okay, here what is the password? The DB password. DB user. DB password. Okay. So now I'm taking the DB user and password, everything in the outside. Table also I'm taking from the outside. It is DB table. Okay. Same code. Just I change means I dynamically providing the values from the outside. So take here, again export the code. Desktop, okay, fine. Save, overwrite, fine. Now stop server, just better purpose. Okay, it is stopped. And go to the web apps folder, remove the old code and replace new one. Copy this, paste here. Okay, and start the server. How to start? Tomcat 9. Just click on up to here. It will give page. I'm giving Kasi, JDBC. This login. Welcome to Kasi. So at backend side, what we do, I'll change the table name again. Instead of user details to, so users to user data. It is affected. Now try this. It give me error. Users data. Oh, got data. So table name changed, right? So basically our code should not work. What I'll do, that change I'll do from outside. I did not do anything code changes. I did not do any redeployment. go to here, student management. There is one file, XML file. Open this. Here I'm changing users data. So basically, should affect automatically. Mostly, I'll try this. Most, if it not, directly build the code. So what will happen here? I'll do request again. I'll request again. Kasi. Yes, sorry. Okay. JDBC. Welcome to Kasi. So it is directly affected. Even the database table changed. I did not do anything code changes. I did not do any redeployment. Directly it will affected because I written that in a XML file outside that I am reading to the servlet config object. What is servlet config object? Servlet config is a interface. Okay, servlet config is interface. The implementation will be provided by server vendor. So the purpose of this class is interface is to provide runtime values to our servlet. Okay, and next important point is not covered. This is local to each servlet. That means how many servlet class we have, that many servlet config objects will be available. What is the meaning? So just observe in the code where we return that init parameters. Init parameter we specified in the servlet specific to the login servlet class. This is specific to login servlet. We did not declare outside. This is servlet login servlet specific to configuration. There only we declared. That means these are available to only login servlet. There is any another servlet we have. Example, I'm creating another servlet, registration servlet. Okay, registration servlet I'm creating. This registration servlet I'm giving next, giving URL or maybe registration, or else I'll give register simply. Register, click on this. Next, do post or do get. Okay, this registration servlet cannot access this DB URL, username, password, whatever we given in the XML file. This is a XML file, web.xml. Okay, this is also we can call it deployment descriptor. Whenever we are deploying application, this will plays key role. Okay, so right now our unit parameters are there in the login servlet class, login servlet configuration. But we have another class, registration servlet. This registration servlet cannot access this DB URL, DB table, these things. If we want to access, we can make again we have right here. First approach. Second approach is we can make this as a global. That global is servlet config object. Okay, servlet config object. So one servlet cannot share servlet config data to another servlet. Okay, to make it available like that. Okay, to make available the parameters to all servlets, we have to use servlet config object. Okay, this servlet context. Next one is servlet config. Okay, What is servlet config? It is also interface. Implementation will be provided by vendor. What is the main difference? The purpose is to provide runtime values to our all servlets. Okay, it is a global, as I can say, it is a global. That means available to all. The top one is a local. What is local means? It cannot be accessible another servlet. How to get servlet config object? Servlet context object. First, we have to get the servlet config object. How to get servlet config? This is the code here. Already we written. From the servlet config, we have to call the get servlet context. Servlet context. Servlet context. Sorry. See servlet context. Servlet context. Let's see. Okay. So example. First see the error. We'll first see the error, then we will go for solution. So registration servlet also wants to get this data. Okay, just I'm writing this code. Okay, this data I'm writing to the server directly, just to understand. Response dot get writer. What is a get writer? It is a buffer object to write some data to output to the browser. Just I'm writing out dot println of DB user driver. Just all these things I'm printing in the browser directly. Okay. First we will try to print, it will work or not, we'll see. Okay, let's redeploy application again. Okay, why it's not working on the server? First. One or more ports are invalid. Okay, again redeploy this. Go to click on this export project into WAR file. Just give the location. Okay, finish. Now WAR file it is created. Now I'm going to delete the existing code. It is deleted. So I told we have two different types of, not root, three different types of deployments. How many we have? Three deployments. I'm writing here down to understand. We have deployment types. So first one we have, what is the first one? Borgunda. What is the first one? Hard deployment. What is hard deployment? Copy WAR file and paste in web app folder of Tomcat. What is soft deployment? Soft means use Tomcat admin browser for deployment. Okay, what is the Tomcat admin browser? I'm showing now. Go to that Tomcat for IP address. Paste this. It is stopped. That's why it's not loaded. Go the server and stop. Start again. Start again. This started. Go to page, reload the page. Click on manager app. Asking password, username, password. While installing time, we are given that username, password. I given tomcat. So it is opened. We can deploy our application here. It is a soft deployment. Okay, by using server specific browsers, server specific URLs, we can deploy servers, maybe applications. How to deploy? Select a file. Okay, go to desktop. There is one folder, student management. Open, deploy. See in the top /docs manager here. Here there is one more thing will come, student management. Deploy, click on deploy. This deployed. Okay, student management. From here only we can access directly. Click on this. It will go for our application. Okay, fine. And undeploy. What is the undeploy steps? We did undeploy means we stop the server, we delete the folder. That is hard undeployment. Okay, soft undeployment means go to here, undeploy. Click on undeploy. This undeployed. Okay. Again, I'm going to deploy. Click on the select var file. Click on deploy. It will go and deploy. Okay, to open the browser, it will give the corresponding page. Click on Kasi. Okay, not this URL. I have one more URL. It is a register. Okay, if I click on register, giving null. Why null? Because it should return a value DB user, DB driver, username, table. These are should return, but it given a null. That means one servlet values. These init parameters are part of login servlet, but we are trying to access on the registration servlet. So one servlet data we cannot access outside. That is a problem with the servlet config. How to resolve that? We can use the servlet context object. Servlet context is global. That means one servlet data we can access to another servlet. How to declare global? Maybe that servlet config data, servlet context. We have to write some tags. It is a context param. Context param. Okay, let's copy from Google directly. Okay, here somewhere I see context params. This one. Inside directly inside web app only. Previously we written in a inside a servlet tag, but now I'm writing in a inside a web app, not inside servlet. Here I'm writing context param value. Okay, what are the param value? First I'll take this one, DB table. This one. Okay, next one I'll take driver. Like that, I can take these context parameters. So these context parameters will be available to all the servlets, all the servlet classes. DB root user. Okay, what is next one? DB password. Okay, these values we configure with the context param. Context param means it will be available to all the servlets. That is why we written as outside servlet tag. Okay, outside servlet tag. Also we can write net starting of the web apps also. Here also we can write. Okay, now deploy the application and see the code first. It is reading from the servlet config. From the servlet config, I have to get a servlet context object again. How to get servlet context. Context I'm getting. Okay, just reading all these things, parameters from the context object. So this context object data is available to all the classes. In the login also, instead of servlet config, I will use servlet context only directly. Dot get servlet context. Okay. So that means we can remove that init parameters now. Now go to XML file, remove that init parameters. Init parameter means specific to the servlet. So now I make it a global. If we declared with the context parameters, okay, these parameters we can accessible through login servlet and also registration servlet. Any servlet we can access. Let's deploy this application. Deploy this. How to deploy? Export var file. Desktop. Override file. Now Tomcat is started already. Now I'm deploying Tomcat with the directly with the soft deployment. What is soft deployment? Go to Tomcat browser, web browser. This is Tomcat welcome page. Just click on, give a IP address port number, directly click on manager app, the admin app. This is last first time username password you have to give. So existing application first undeploy. So how to undeploy? Click on undeploy, it will go. Okay, now deploy new code. Click on deploy. Select a file. Desktop. Where is that? Student management. Var file. Open. Deploy. This is deployed. Okay. Now go to that application. Or not for. Right. Did not deploy maybe. Version not specified. Okay. Start. Okay. Start. Wait. Start asking. We'll try first. 1 second. Click on manager app. Stop on. Try to undeploy first. We'll see. Undeployed. Again deploying. Select file. Student management. Click on deploy. It is added. Student management. They're asking to start manually. Okay. Click on start. Okay, go to the application. It is not started. It seems there is some error. We'll see. Wait, error. Both parameters are names parameters returned. Required. Where? Just check the reason. Error starting child. Deploying web apps on illegal state. Okay. Component localhost. Okay. Both parameters name and parameter value is required. Where? See the code. Anything mistake we did? DB users. Okay. DB table users. To use data, right? You'll see users data. DB driver. Okay, this is the DB URL. DB URL. So DB user. Okay, this DB password. There is a problem. I think there is a problem. Just redeploy again. Export var file. Desktop. And again, try to load that. First undeploy the code. and deploy the code. It is done. Again, deploy. Deploy, it is done. Now also giving error. See error again. Both parameters are required, is saying. Both parameters are values are required. Where it is line number is not giving. Better I'll restart the server. I'll restart. Tomcat 9. This failed. Just check, cross check. I think we did mistake. Context param. URL, username, password, table, driver. Context 7 param. See some example. Context param. Context param, context 7 param, context 7 value, param value. Okay, here, sorry. Param name, param value, param name, param value. Here, param value. Okay. So param name, param value. Here DB user, DB table user data. User is root, password is root, driver is this one. Okay, let's deploy again this. Var file. Okay. Go to Tomcat page. Manager app. First undeploy old code. Deploy new code. Okay, open. Deploy. Now it is deployed. I think it is working fine. Go to the browser. It is asking login page. Okay. I'm giving login page this one. Kasi JDBC. Is welcome. If I try to log in some register to giving the proper name. So this is example for servlet context and servlet config. What is servlet config? Servlet config is a local to the servlet. That means servlet config data we cannot share to another servlet. How to declare that servlet config data? We have to use the unit type param. Next one is servlet config. Sorry, next servlet context. Servlet context is an interface. Implementation will provide by server vendor. Okay, the purpose is we can share data to across the servlets. Okay, we can share data to across servlets. That's why you can call it is global. Okay, fine. Just see this for soft deployment. Go to that page. Tomcat manager. I've given steps here. Open this. Click on manager app. Next one is click on maybe enter credentials. which is given at deployment time, at deployment, at installation time. Okay, then click on select a folder, select a file. Okay, select a var file and deploy. This is a soft deployment. Third one is tool-based deployment. Tool-based means we have some tools. Okay, what tools we have? Some like WinSCP, we know, right? WinSCP and some putty. With these tools, we can go deployment. That is called tool-based deployment. That is not much important. The same as first one only. Okay, this is about some concepts in the servlet. Okay, so just try to revise all these things for afternoon. Afternoon time we'll connect at around 4:30 or 4 or 4:30. Is it fine? Is it fine 4 or 4:30 today? Response, please. Today I'll complete servlet concepts. Unnara? Today 4:30 will connect. Is it fine or not? Kasi? So fine, I'll ask maybe in the WhatsApp group. You can reply.
I'm okay with that, bro. I'm okay with that.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Ask
We'll connect.
other person.
Okay, I will connect around 4 p.m. We'll connect. We'll close by before 6 p.m. I'll cover one example mostly that will cover all the concepts. Okay, we can close this SRLS. Then we can go for Spring or Springboard. That is very important.
Okay.
Fine for today. We'll connect afternoon.